Hi everyone, I'm Abhishek, the CEO and co-founder of Appsmith. I'm very excited to talk today with Shawn of Funding Societies about how they've been building AI applications. Uh, Welcome, Shawn.
Hi, Abhishek. Thanks for having me here.
So, Funding Societies is a leading digital financing platform in Southeast Asia, and Shawn is a longtime user and customer of Appsmith. So, Shawn, I'm very excited to talk to you today.
Likewise, I love Appsmith.
Thank- Shawn, could you tell me about what is it that you do at Funding Societies?
Sure. I partner with the CTO to lead the technical strategy in the company. Day-to-day wise, I run lots of design reviews and drive large technical projects. One of them is how we are building applications on top of generative AI. And I'm currently also managing the platform and AI teams, both horizontal teams that are supporting other feature teams in the company.
Got it. Thanks, Shawn. Shawn, could you tell us a bit about the generative AI initiatives that you're working on at Funding Societies?
Sure. So generative AI started in our company around late of 2022. So sometime when ChatGPT actually hit the wire. So the initiatives in the company are a mixture of top down from leadership
Mhm.
and bottoms up.
Mhm. Got it. And for your chatbot program, how did you arrive at this use case? Could you talk a bit about was this a tops down initiative? Was this a bottoms up initiative? And how did you uh, end up executing on this use case?
Yeah, sure. So shortly after our leadership team actually identified generative AI as a key enabler of the business, we organized a hackathon in
Mhm.
2023 to crowdsource some ideas. So some promising ideas were identified, but the chatbot program was one of them that went into production the same year.
Mhm.
So it's quite bottoms up over here, and I was the main developer for the program.
Mhm. Mhm.
And our business revolves around financing and investing. So we tend to get a lot of questions from customer service. Uh,
Mhm.
sorry, a lot of questions from customers, and
Mhm.
there are a lot of back office operations that's typically needed to support
Mhm.
customers' requests. For instance, for a loan application.
Mhm.
So the idea of the chatbot program is to reduce the turnaround time so that
Mhm.
our customers can actually get their needs, in this case, financing, uh,
Mhm.
resolved much faster. So
Mhm.
customer support was actually where we started from.
Mhm.
But the goal was actually to have an omni-channel AI assistant that could
Mhm.
actually help our users in every step of the user journey. And that
Mhm.
really includes the application process,
Mhm.
the documents approval stage,
Mhm.
and then after you have secured your financing, there's the repayment stage, refinancing
Mhm.
needed, and so on. Right?
Mhm.
So you would basically still have that chatbot to help you every step of the way.
Mhm.
That's what we
Mhm.
wanted to do.
Hmm. Got it. And how was the scope of this chatbot introduced at the start? You said you wanted to reduce the number of customer service queries, but did you end up expanding the scope once you began to see some early success?
Yes, we did. So this chatbot, the name is called Shane, and
Mhm.
we actually just started on a few level one questions, and it
Mhm.
behaved like an intern.
Mhm.
So automated around 150 tickets per month, which
Mhm.
generally equates to about half the workload of a typical CX representative. And we
Mhm.
thought that it works, right? It
Mhm.
was able to answer questions by the customers pretty quick, and the
Mhm.
CSAT ratings were really high, right? Because
Mhm.
people are getting their questions answered quickly and accurately. right? So we
Hmm.
started to expand from there,
Hmm.
train the chatbot with a lot more data, uh,
Hmm.
and started to automate more complex questions such as
Hmm.
repayments, right? Repayments and fees,
Hmm.
this of the financing, and so
Hmm.
on, right? A lot of
Hmm.
service related questions. So at this point, the chatbot has reached a stage where it's around almost four, almost four,
Hmm.
four people's workload.
Mhm. Got it. And Sean, you decided to build this chatbot internally instead of buying an external solution. Could you talk a bit about why did you take that decision and why are you continuing to build all of this in house?
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's an interesting question that I often get. Um, so the chatbot has multiple touch points, and
Mhm.
like the goal that I mentioned earlier, the idea is not just to cover customer service, right?
Hmm.
We actually wanted to have an AI that covers the
Mhm.
entire loan application journey, right, all the way down
Hmm.
application to the point where someone repays their for their loan.
Hmm.
So what we found that is that there's a lot of off-the-shelf chatbots that
Mhm.
typically would serve one stage of the funnel very well,
Right.
but it probably doesn't work very well across the whole funnel, right?
Hmm.
And we know our business very well, so
Mhm.
this is something that we felt that if we get it right, essentially
Mhm.
this is a competitive advantage where
Mhm.
we are actually able to serve our customers much faster than our competitors. Yep. So
Hmm.
that's one of the critical factors, right?
Mhm.
Considering this AI as a multi-funnel, multi-stage AI, across the whole funnel.
Hmm.
And another factor is that when at the time when we started, generative
Mhm.
AI is fairly new, and
Hmm.
even now, the techniques that are involved in building a generative AI application is evolving very rapidly, right?
Hmm.
So we feel that we would be able to ship a lot faster and
Mhm.
adjust to our customers' needs if we
Mhm.
get this capability in-house. And
Hmm.
over the last one almost one and a half years already, we certainly felt that that was true. Uh,
Hmm.
and finally, we also wanted to grow our skill set in
Mhm.
generative AI as
Mhm.
being a fintech company. We feel that this is a core skill that would
Mhm.
enable us to automate several tedious parts of the company and
Hmm.
eventually provide value to our customers without
Hmm.
sacrificing quality. Those
Hmm.
are the reasons.
Got it. Got it. That's a good segue into my next question. As a fintech company, you're constantly under watch from regulators. Your applicants as well as customers are trying to sort of figure out uh, if if whatever your customer service agent is communicating is accurate or inaccurate. Also, there's a potential that bots can hallucinate, but also there's a potential that bots can have some sort of like prompt injection.
Hmm.
Could you talk a bit about the steps and the things that you have worked on to mitigate the risks that bots have?
Sure. So we adopt a zero trust policy
Mhm.
to large
Mhm.
language models. So that's
Mhm.
a fundamental principle. So backing this, essentially, we have on the development end, we actually use prompt testing frameworks. Uh,
Mhm.
there's a bunch of them, right? We
Mhm.
use this thing called prompt foo. It's
Mhm.
open source, it's pretty good to use. And
Mhm.
we periodically run that against a myriad of cases to ensure that
Mhm.
the chatbot meets the quality standards and say the right,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And at the moment, our customer service ratings certainly indicate that our chatbot performance is the same or
Mhm.
better than human. And
Mhm.
we also have, because we don't trust, right, large language
Mhm.
models,
Right.
we essentially have very strong human in the loop features
Mhm.
of for all kinds of AI that we are building, right? So for
Mhm.
this case, the chatbot, we have the customer service team that
Mhm.
periodically are marking the chats as needing improvement, and these feedback, um, they always funnel back to the engineering team. So we could adjust the backend to give the right information in those cases where it is not performing the way we expect, right? And every customer interaction also begins with a disclaimer. So that's um, presented very, very clearly at the start of each conversation. So there is no doubt that a customer is, talking to a chatbot, and uh, there's a small probability of inaccuracy. So that's well communicated. We also work with the internal risk, compliance, and security teams, right? So they are well aware. So I certainly um, encourage every company that's doing this to ensure that they have the proper supporting teams to help. And particularly for the security teams, they would essentially be conducting red hat testing, right? To internally try to prompt inject the bot. We haven't actually faced any issues as of. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. So you mentioned your customer service agents act as humans in the loop uh, for the chatbot.
Yep.
Uh, could you talk a bit about what kind of tools and interfaces you've built for your customer support customer service agents?
Yeah, sure. So specifically for human in the loop, we our chatbot backend is integrated with our customer servicing tool. We use Intercom. So we made it such that the bot is very, very sensitive to emotions in the chat, and if if a customer is feeling disgruntled, it would definitely escalate it to an agent, right? And if the customer explicitly ask for an agent, then the agent would come online, right? So that's the human in the loop for our chatbot.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Could you tell us about how do you monitor responses coming from the LLM and how you're using Appsmith as a part of the solution?
Yes. So Appsmith serves as a command center for us to control the behavior of the chatbot. We can see the prompts that we configured within Appsmith, and the chats that are being done by your chatbot. Um, and for a lot of these chats, it often reference internal articles or the public ones that we publish in the Gov help desk. So we can actually see these articles that are being referenced for each line item in Appsmith. We have also created a way for our customer service team to refresh the knowledge bases that are powering our chatbots under the hood, right? So there are scrapers that are fetching from a lot of different places, and for example, a customer service agent would they notice that okay, the bot is saying something a little bit inaccurate.
Right.
They wanna update the knowledge base, so they go ahead and they made the modifications in Intercom help desk article, and then will trigger a button on our AppSmith tool, which would then refresh the knowledge base, powering the chatbot.
Got it. Got it. That's cool. Could you tell us about why did you end up choosing AppSmith for this?
Oh, right. So, Funding Societies, being almost a decade old company, has already had the history of building our own internal tools with a fully customized code base on AngularJS. So most of these tools are over the history of time. We noticed that they are mostly just forms and tables, and we found that these things have become very, very difficult to maintain. And we started to look into how to actually build this CRUD dashboards without too much code. And
Right.
we settled on AppSmith because it was so developer centric.
Got it. Thanks, Sean. Sean, my final question to you. There are other companies and teams that are hearing this who are just beginning to get started with building production ready AI applications. What advice would you give them?
So first of all, focus on the problem that you're trying to solve, Not all problems are AI problems. Um, some problems are actually like Zapier problems or Excel VLOOKUP problems, right? Not all problems are suitable for large language models as well. Um, I would be particularly wary of problems that require 100% precision or 100% traceability, as Gen AI is pretty bad at that, right? It's known to be flaky, unpredictable, and it's a black box, right? So if you do need something like an audit trail to see how the model come to its conclusion, unfortunately, you're not going to get a lot of that, right? Yeah, so that's the first advice. And second advice is not be distracted by myriad of tools and frameworks when you're just starting up. Um, for production use cases, I would generally stick with calling the LLM APIs directly. Um, Avoid using abstractions such as LangChain. Um, the reason is with how fast the industry is moving, these abstractions are typically quite half-baked. So they would complicate your code base very fast, and you would outgrow them very quickly. So when I first started with this chatbot program, this is the same advice that someone else gave me. Yeah, it has worked out fine over time. And lastly, I think I covered earlier, always factor in the element of risk when you are using Gen AI. Set up proper alerts, disclaimers, the human in the loop interventions, if you will, so that when your AI is not working as intended, there's always humans that will be covering. Yeah, these are the top three advice that I would give.
Thank you, Sean. That sounds like really great, sagely advice. I especially love this advice that don't treat every problem as an AI problem. We've personally seen that at Appsmith, uh, where trying to just throw the LLM at every single issue did not work in our favor, and now we've learned that. So that makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Sean, for your time today.
Thank you for having me here.